Katie Schide, Germain Granger. How's my pronunciation?
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's not that far from the truth.
Do people usually say like Germain Granger?
Yeah, Germain is the main thing. Yeah.
Germain, Katie Schide, of course, 2022 UTMB champ. How's it feel to be back in the valley? You too, after many years being back and forth.
Yeah, it's been fun. We've been in the valley for 6 weeks now. We normally live a bit south of here. And it's always fun to like change up the training grounds and just see a different place. And yeah, just some new trails.
Yeah. I guess it's the first time we come earlier before UTMB week. So yeah.
Yeah, 6 weeks. I mean, that's a long time. Is that a reflection of like a deep commitment towards the performances this coming week, or was it just simply new training grounds and opportunity to just be somewhere else for the summer?
No, yeah, it's clearly to be used to the UTMB race route. I think for me, Katie is just doing OCC, so she doesn't need that much recon.
Yeah.
So yeah, every time I would start UTMB, I would just show up on Monday, Tuesday, and do the race. So it's actually the first time I'm doing the Ricky, as you say, Ricky.
So Germain has done UTMB. He's started UTMB 3 times, and he's never seen Col de la Seine in the daylight. So I'm just putting that out there. This is his first time seeing it in the daylight.
That's a great part of the course. And I've noticed that you've been doing a lot of training on the course. Maybe we'll come back and talk about that in a sec. But first, just introduce yourself a little bit, because Katie's been on the podcast a few times. And obviously, the majority of the viewers and listeners of this are going to be American. So maybe just give us a quick introduction to you, your background in sport. Because I think, didn't you come from like a cycling background or something?
Yeah, kind of. I would say my first sport was alpine skiing, because I grew up in a French ski resort. So that was really the first sport I did. And then my family moved to the French Riviera, like close to Nice. Obviously less mountains. So that's when I started mountain biking, then road biking. Then I was doing my study in parallels, and I got injured, and I decided to push more on the study side. And that's when I found out about trail running, because I had less time to train and I would be dead after just 1 hour of running. So that's how I came to trail running.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming, guys. It's great to have you here, and it'll be fun to chat briefly. But maybe let's start with 2 months ago when Katie finished spectacular second place, one of the great 100-mile performances ever. And just maybe 12 hours before that race started, you won here in Chamonix at the 90K Mont Blanc. So maybe tell us a bit about like what the conversation was like after you finally had a chance to catch up, because I'm sure you guys were both, pretty proud of one another and had a lot of fun things to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I was following Germain's race. It's not what you're supposed to do 2 nights before you race, right? It's like the night before is the best. It's the most important sleep or something. I don't know. Someone told me that once, but I was up all night, like trying to sleep. But then, you kind of wake up and you're like, oh, I have to check the timing. And Germain didn't make it easy for us, because he held like a 2-minute lead for like 40K or something. So it was quite stressful to just follow on the timing updates. But yeah, it was just a big relief for me to like see that he won, because I knew how, obviously we know how much goes into each other's training and preparation. So that was a great thing to kind of wake up to, and then get his whole race report the next day on the phone while I was still preparing my stuff.
Okay, so he had finished before you started Western States?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because of the time difference, it was the night before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Germain, tell us about watching Katie's performance at Western States.
Yeah. So I basically finished my race. Then it was like the start was like a few hours later. So I didn't sleep at all. I just like tried to sleep, but then every like 30 and 1 hour I would wake up, then like watch a different live, like listen to you, obviously, and then I was following the race from Chamonix, and there was less like way to really follow the race with like really live footage, but you can really follow the split and you guys doing the live. So yeah, it was like a pretty intense night. Actually, I was more tired from like sleep deprivation than for like real running. So
well, what a great memory you guys will probably cherish for years and decades to come. Katie, how have you been feeling since Western States? Obviously, it's like you've done what? Have you done any hundreds aside from UTMB? You did the race near where you guys live, right?
Yeah, UTMB and Western States are the only 100-mile races I've done, but UTCAM, which is close to where we live, is where we live it's really technical and the trails are much slower than here, which is why we have to come here to prepare for the race, because it's so much faster to run around here. And so that race actually is 120K, but my finishing time was like just squeaked under 20 hours. So actually it's longer than Western States, but 120K.
Well, the reason I ask is because, somebody who's done Western States a number of times, like it can really shred you. Like for how fast of a course it is, it often takes people a long time to recover from it. How have you felt in the last couple of months? I mean, you did get it on a year where it was a little bit cooler and obviously you were fit and good condition for it. How's the recovery been?
Yeah, I think maybe I got like a different circumstance because of the temperature. Or maybe because I'm so used to races being like time-wise really long, and maybe actually all of those races go through the night. Mm-hmm. And I think that completely changes the race and the recovery when you are also missing a night of sleep on top of running for that long. So honestly, when I got to the finish of Western States, I was like, that went by so fast. And I think I had pretty good recovery. Like the biggest thing was just the time zone difference, because I came back home to France directly after, and I had a lot of trouble sleeping for like a week and a half, but I attribute that more to the time change than the race itself.
So do you feel like you bounced back more quickly than UTMB, for example, the only other 100 that you've done? Because this is Corinne was just here, and we were sort of talking about some of the storylines of the race for the season. And one of them is like the people who are doing the Western States UTMB double. Of course, you're doing OCC, which we'll talk about in a second. But, there's some conversation about like, because Western States was a little bit cooler this year, it seems like a lot of people have recovered more quickly, and there's an extra week separating the two races now. And so, sort of the speculation of maybe it'll be easier to do the Western States UTMB double. Did you feel like you bounced back pretty quickly?
I think there's two things. One is that I've like done more races now. Mm-hmm. So I think that just helps you recover faster. And it's also really different when you finish on a positive note than when you finish on a negative note. Totally. And I've finished UTMB twice on really negative notes, and it's kind of destroyed me. And I've had a really hard time coming back after that mentally. And that definitely affects your physical body too.
That is fascinating.
Like last year after UTMB, I felt great. Like I didn't feel like there was any time where I was like, wow, I'm so dead.
Because you won.
Yeah. Like I won. Okay, great. Everything's wonderful in the world. But the same with Western States. Like I was super happy with how everything went. So I wasn't, I think it really changes.
Awesome. Germain, you've had a super solid year in addition to the Mont Blanc 90K. You were solid fifth at Transvolcania. How have those two races set you up for UTMB? This is your fourth start at UTMB, right? And we'll get to what happened last year, but maybe just talk about your season, how it set you up for this weekend's race.
Yeah, so I actually didn't run from December 1st to April 1st. I only skied, so that was a bit scary, but that's what we did. And then I had like 4 or 5 weeks of running to go to Transvolcania. And in the end, it worked pretty well. And then, I had like another 5 or 6 weeks to go to the 90K. And it's when I ran more. And this season I didn't have any injury or was sick or whatever. So I have like a better, consistent training behind me.
So speaking of illness, sickness, let's talk about last year. That was your third year running in a row. You'd finished 9th and 5th in 2019 and 2021. And then I think I recall you caught COVID during race week last year, ended up pulling out at Courmayeur. Remind the audience about that story.
Yeah, actually, Yeah, we rented a chalet with like our coach and other people for the crew, and then one of the member of the chalet came with COVID, but we didn't know it at the time, and then it tested early in the week positive. It's when we begin to split everybody in a different location to make sure and optimize like the spread. And I felt like sick at the big pickup, but I didn't want to do a test and keep giving it a shot.
Just to clarify, he didn't test positive until the day before, so we didn't go anywhere knowing that we had someone with COVID.
Yeah.
Just to really clarify that. This was like the afternoon before the start of the race.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I started. I felt okay. Then like worse and worse and worse. So I decided to stop because I knew that something was going on.
What was it like to see Katie win last year after having that disappointment? I mean, obviously, it makes perfect sense. You shouldn't have continued on, and I'm sure everybody comes to UTMB. It's their biggest goal of the season, so there was major disappointment. But obviously, Katie was able to make the.
Yeah, that was like hard because not only about like the fact that I dropped the race, it was just that my race got stopped, but then I can't even celebrate, or I can't I stayed more or less at the Airbnb because I couldn't go to the after party or whatever because I was sick and I didn't want to spread my virus to anyone else. So that was the hard part, not being able to really like celebrate 100% with Katie. But as soon as I saw that she was well ranked, I still went on the race route, like in places to see her finish. But for sure, I was really happy for her. It's just like such a bad timing, but she.
Well, it's your turn this year. Your turn this year.
I will do my best, but I don't know yet.
Katie, back to you. Obviously, like going from a super fast 100-miler to a slower mountainous 55K, it's kind of an abrupt transition to make. Give us a sense of sort of like how you've made that transition in terms of training, mix of volume and intensity, vertical. How's that been?
I decided in, I think, January to do OCC, so it wasn't like a last minute thing at all. It was very much on the calendar. We kind of made a decision after what happened last year, not just because of that, but just our experience with racing the same. We had basically always done the same races 100% of the time. And so coming into this year, we said, okay, we're not going to do that anymore. We're like, ruining each other's races by needing each other when the other person is very much not available.
Interesting.
So of course it made sense. Like Germain, of course, wanted to come back to UTMB. And I really wanted to go to Western States. So I knew I was definitely going to be here this week. I've always wanted to do OCC. Germain finished third at OCC in 2015. So I have these like funny pictures of him in his old outfit, running I think it was one of the first editions of OCC. Yeah, but anyway, it's always been a race I've wanted to do because I've done CCC and UTMB. So got to do the trifecta.
Does it feel relieving that you don't have to do the full loop around the mountain, or is it like, oh God, I got to actually like push hard? Because I mean, people who maybe, have only known you for the last couple of years would recognize you as like a long course person doing UTMB in Western States, Madeira and stuff. But, those who follow you more closely know that you jump into cross country races. You do a lot of like faster, harder skimo type stuff too. Where's your head at in terms of like this change in distance?
Yeah, I think I've gotten more media coverage on longer things, but I've definitely done more, but like 50K-ish length races than I have 100-milers. I'm just not, like winning Zagama or the Marathon du Mont Blanc because that's not where like my best skill set is, but I love those races. And I think it would be sad to just like cross them all off the list because I quote unquote like do better at long races. My training has following Western States, I like brought down the volume quite a bit, but like way more intensity sessions, which
Are you feeling confident, or are you feeling like it was an abrupt change in stimulus?
I at the beginning I was a little nervous because I had focused so hard on like flat running since this week last year, and then I immediately switched when I got home after Western States to like, okay, I mean I just went back to running like normal basically, which includes running up and down instead of like trying to avoid that. But I feel like my legs have come back around, but you never know. I mean 55K 3,500 meters is long. It's not short, so we'll see how it goes. And there's tons of other super strong women, so any weakness will be shown for sure.
Yeah, well, it's going to be fun to follow. Germain, back to you. Maybe similar question about your training. I've noticed that you've been on the course quite a bit. You've done a couple like big runs from here to Courmayeur. Give us a sense of, how you've structured things, just like, again, mix of volume and intensity. Any things you've done differently this year?
This year I definitely run more than I used to run because I don't bike anymore this year. And I have way more kilometer in my legs, way more time on feet. And that's the main difference with my training of the previous year. I would always build up with like long biking loops, like sneak in between like big running days. And I have only done like running days.
Yeah. So, as somebody who's been here 3 times in the past, like, how have you approached the training on the course part of it? Because I think there's, like Katie said, you'd never seen the Col de Lausanne in daylight before. So there's some advantage to knowing what you're doing, but there's also, I don't know, sometimes it's nice to not be doing so much on the course so it feels a little bit more fresh on race day. How have you balanced that?
Yeah, exactly. That was always my previous approach to UTMB. And then I wanted to change things that year and give me like more chance and opportunity to get the race route like better, like those little things, And yeah, definitely at some point you're like, okay, that's a lot of time on the race route. Maybe I want to do less. So some days I would just like not go on the race route, but I always try to stay committed to my choice to come here earlier is to get on the race route.
Yeah.
So that was my main line to follow. Like I'm here for that.
Have you felt like there's been things that you've learned that you didn't pick up in your 3 previous runnings?
Yeah, definitely. I was just first thinking that I was really stupid to didn't go here like on the like first part of the race during like daylight. Yeah, there is definitely things that shows up quickly. Like the fact that Katie said that we cannot really prepare that UTMB at home because the trails are really different.
Yeah.
When I did my first like Ricky loop, I was like, okay, it's really great that I'm here because I'm not used to this grade going down, easy grade that totally destroy your legs.
Yeah.
So I'm more used to jump around like rocks, stuff like that. So yeah, there is a ton of things.
So recalling back to your 5th place finish in 2021, didn't you share a lot of miles with Aurelian that year? Or who were you?
Exactly.
And he ended up finishing 2nd.
Yeah.
What happened? 5th place at UTMB is a spectacular performance. It would be a highlight of anybody's career. But do you look back at that race and feel like there was something you should have done differently?
No, because the year before, I was like discovering the 100 miles thing. So I started UTMB super in a conservative way and ended up 9th. So I wanted to take a little bit more risk, but maybe too much. So that's why I was like, I was with Aurélien and we are 2nd and 3rd in Champé. Then it's really the place where like my speed really like slowed down and I really hit a low. And that was interesting to manage, but for sure it's something I can look back and like improve a lot of things. I was still like really like, I feel like I was still not really into like the details of the preparation or whatever. I was more like, oh, okay, cool. I want to give a shot.
Awesome.
So yeah.
It always gets hard after Champ-Lac.
Yeah, I think it can be easy after Champ-Lac anyway.
Well, thank you guys so much. Maybe quickly just share what you guys are going to be doing this week for people who are listening who are in town. I know you have at least a couple of things that you're doing. Like, is there a movie on Wednesday or Thursday?
Yeah, I'll be at the premiere of my film. It's a 10-minute film. It won't take 2 hours. That'll be outside at the North Face store Wednesday, starting at 4:30, followed by a Q&A. And then other than that,
I will pick up my bib. I just want to warn the volunteers that I'm going to pick up. No.
And otherwise, you guys will be hiding out, hopefully, for the rest of the week. So just quick closing question. I was sort of thinking about something that I could ask everybody who comes in here. And do they not allow crew in OCC? Okay. This is the thing that I was thinking about is like asking everybody, who's your crew? Why? And what has that person meant to you? So maybe you can answer the question. Who's crewing for you at UTMB? Why is that the person that you've chosen? And what has that person meant to you over time?
So I would say there will be two persons. So Katie is more like in the assistant role. And yeah, my crew person is Ronnie McGregor. I don't know if you know.
I don't know.
Ronnie McGregor. It's like she's a dietitian, sport nutritionist. And I've been working this year with her, and yeah, we really like to work together. And I think she would be really helpful. So that's.
Did you choose her because of her nutrition background? Like she can help you navigate any potential issues that happen along the way, or is she just a friend?
Yeah, first for like a nutrition background, and I think she can find also the good words for me. So that's the both side, I would say.
Awesome. Well, good luck to you both, Katie and OCC, Germain and UTMB. It's great to have you both in here together, and good luck this week.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dylan.
Cheers.